Speaking Leader, Unit 2, Change, an interview with Jeremy Keeley. Jeremy, it's really lovely to see you. We've known each other for 30 years. We've been good friends for 30 years. And I think our firstborns, our boys, were both born at the same time. Jeremy, you've been involved in a lot of Market Leader. Thank you for giving up a lot of time for this, and now for Speaking Leader as well. Jeremy, he worked for KPMG and other institutions. He was an associate of the Institute of Sustainability Leadership, Cambridge. Is that right?
The Cambridge Institute for Sustainability Leadership, yeah.
Okay, and the Muller Institute, Cambridge, IMG Lausanne, and Imperial College Business School, and he's a Chartered Institute Management accountant. More importantly than any of that is a lot of the reviews of Jeremy, and when people are talking of him, is that they all say he's a man of immense integrity. And I know that's going to embarrass you, but I will back that up 100%, and a great friend. So Jeremy, can I start? Is that okay? Yep.
Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and what your role as a coach and facilitator involves?
I am an independent coach and executive coach and facilitator, and I would regard that as developmental coach and facilitator. I help people to develop and teams to develop. So most of my work is either working with individual executives or high flyers in organizations, or with teams, leadership teams, on how they develop themselves and grow, effectively how they can be the very best they can be.
Right.
I can give you more information as well if you like, but that's kind of the essence of the work.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. And I'll move on. How can good leadership help people feel more comfortable with change? How can good leadership help people feel more comfortable with change?
Okay. Well, the essence of it is, of course, that the comfortable with change word is the issue.
Yeah.
We are changing all the time, and people change all the time. It's just a fact of nature. And people don't even think about it. But as soon as you get change imposed from somebody,
yes,
then what you create is a threat. You create a threat for their status, their feeling of certainty. This is what David Rock's SCARF model. Their autonomy, their relationships are a threat, and their sense of fairness is often a threat. And so that creates the discomfort. So if you understand that better, then as a leader, the very first thing is to understand what that people who they lead, what's the threat they think they're facing, and help them to understand that threat. Not necessarily to answer all of those things. You can't give certainty, for example. But so the first essence of this leader is understanding that, having some empathy for that, and leading accordingly. And the second thing is to be trusted, because the more the leader is trusted, the more they'll support the people who are changing or having to change through the process of change, both in the beginning when they're first told about the change, but also throughout the change process. Now, as well as that, if you can then also collaborate with the change, help them have some control over it by involving them in designing the change, by involving them designing on how they're going to implement the change, that too can increase their sense of comfort with the change.
Right.
I don't know whether there's more. Well, I can talk about more, David, but that's kind of the essence.
No, that's brilliant. I'm just thinking, so what does change leadership mean, and how is it different from just managing change?
Yeah. So related to what I've just said, at some level, managing change is a kind of impossibility. It's an oxymoron. Managing change means I'm trying to control this change. I'm trying to make it work. I'm trying to put all sorts of structures and procedures in place to manage the change. Leading change for me is around inspiring, having some empathy for what people are going to go through, creating a vision for the change, helping people to see where they're going to fit in. One of the elements of resistance to change is the fear that people are going to be not able to cope with the new change, maybe not capable of it because they don't know what it is, but not being able to express that. That's quite a hard thing to express. I'm not sure, David, that I can do what you want me to do in the future is a really hard thing to say in the middle of change. So it's helping people to feel confident, helping them to feel that they've got the skills they need. That's leading change for me.
Right.
It's the process of leading change. So this inspiration and growing, by the way, the other thing is growing people through the process so they develop in order to meet the needs of the new from the needs of the old. But managing change often, I mean, I'm not denigrating managing change, but it's about processes, procedures, and actions and plans. And those things are needed, but they're not the same as leading change in the same way. And can often be mistaken for trying to control the change, which is a different thing altogether.
Sure. Okay. And I've got two more questions. One is about because we're talking about change, talking about leadership, and on leadership, I'll move on to a leader that you admire, possibly. But if a company wants to become more sustainable, how can leaders support that kind of change successfully? I'll say that again. If a company wants to become more sustainable, how can leaders support that kind of change successfully?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're talking about sustainability, by the way, because it has two meanings. Is this company sustainable? Is this company going to survive for the future?
Okay.
Yeah. And the other way is, if a company is more sustainable, which in current parlance might mean, does it focus on the sustainability, on climate protection, on social protection, on protection of nature? So there's two aspects to it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first one, the first sustainability, the company's just got to operate very, very well. That's the point. You've got to have lower costs than your profits. You've got to manage your profits properly. You've got to manage your plans properly and your vision properly. Normal leadership of companies. Okay. The second one is more difficult, particularly in the current climate, because the whole thing about sustainability in the second frame is that it creates a whole series of emotions. Denial. Right at the very beginning, you might have heard the claim that the climate change isn't caused by man, etc.
Yeah.
It's called the other one is hopelessness. People think, oh, we can't do anything about it anyway. The other one is fear, oh my God, what's this going to happen to us? And then shame. We should have done more about this before. I'm ashamed of myself. And none of these emotions help. So if a company wants to become more sustainable in that perspective, first of all, they need to paint the picture of what it would look like, what it could look like if it was doing that work. At some level, it needs to help people to understand how that benefits the profitability of the company, or how you can build sustainability in the way into each of the operations of the company, and what their contribution will be. And then it becomes like managing any other change at some level. But yeah, it's recognizing that sustainability itself creates this unconscious set of emotions that then often create resistance to change and don't make that change happen. And there is a belief that they need to get over the belief that we're going to be more sustainable, therefore we won't be as profitable. That's just simply not proven. And in fact, there are really good examples in the world of companies that have made themselves more sustainable and in fact delivered much higher profitability, because the particular thing they're producing is much cheaper to produce. Except, say, for example, solar energy.
Yeah.
And you said you had another question. Have you got time for it in this video?
I do. I know the unit is on change, but yeah, you are an expert on leadership. So I'm just going to ask you last question on that. Which leader do you admire and why?
I can't name people.
Sure.
I'm afraid. Yeah. There's lots of confidentiality, but I've been really privileged in my working life to work for a number of really fantastic leaders. And I'd say the essence of what makes them really brilliant leaders is, first of all, utter integrity.
Right.
That what they're wanting to do the right thing and going for the right thing. And related to that, and possibly this what might be something into your questioning a bit, is that the very best leaders I know, the ones that I want to follow till the end of the earth, they are people who bring love into leadership. And as you know, there was some work done a while ago around this. But this ability to genuinely care for what's the right thing to do, genuinely care for the people they're leading, genuinely care for the environment and for nature and for social interest. The more and the more that they do that, the more confidence they build in the organization, the more followership they build in their system. Let's go wider than the organization. It's a wider system they lead in as well. And so, and then of course, you talk about Desmond Tutu, for example, is a very typical example of a man who brought real love into his work and stood for what was right all the way through until he died. It's a really good example of a. I've never worked with Desmond Tutu. I've got to declare that, but I watched him with admiration. So, how's this going, David? Any more questions?
No, that's fantastic, Jeremy. Thank you very much for your time and lovely speaking to you. I'm just